Good evening and welcome to the Anchorcast. Here's a pro tip for you in No Man's Sky. So let's say you want to max out your ship inventory. Well, there's a couple ways to do that. You can walk up to any alien ship you encounter and ask them how much they want for their ride. Like this guy here, he wants 11 million units in change for a 32 inventory slot hoopty. But that feels like a bit much. Now granted, I spent close to 10 million on a 30 slot ship and I felt like I took a bath on it. However, there is another way to get a maxed out ship where you don't have to pay a lot. In fact, you actually make money on the back end. Now, it is a fairly lengthy process, so you want to make sure you have all the necessary items. First off, you're going to need to build a bypass chip, and that'll run you 10 iron and 10 plutonium. Now, those items are fairly plentiful in any world, but you're going to want to pick a world that's got a lot of other good resources too, like Heridium. There's big, tall pillars of black and bluish rock. Chrysonite, and I'm talking about the crystalline chrysonite form, like that looks like plutonium, but it's blue. And also, you need to find zinc, those little flowers that have the zinc in them. And thallium, that other red item that you can also get from space rocks, but you want to find enough on the planet. Now, the next thing you want to do is locate a signal scanner. And this is that beacon with the orange laser beam shooting out of it. You can find them near most structures or out in the wild all by themselves. So what you do is you walk up to the signal scanner and you use your bypass chip on it. Now, it's going to give you several options for different types of scans, like for a monolith, or a colonial outpost, or a shelter, but we're looking for transmission, specifically a transmission tower. So you go ahead and scan for its transmission and let's see what we get. Now, every once in a while you may get an observatory or a beacon like I got there. But just build another bypass chip and repeat the process until you find it. And there you go. Now all we have to do is fly out to the transmission tower. Transmission towers are different than other locations because they have that interface that shows you where distress signals are. You can tell one by the type of number riddle it gives you, instead of the others where they ask you what the next 4 numbers are going to be in a series. Transmission towers ask you math-related questions like what's the next number in this series of addition or subtraction type problems. Like here, the answer is 77. And once we answer the riddle, it'll give us the location of a crashed ship on our map, and that is our next destination. Now, if you really want to, you can just fly around all of Hell's Half Acre looking for a crashed ship, but they are kind of hard to spot, especially on a miserable and rainy planet like this. And you can even just fly around looking for transmission towers if you know what you're looking for. I guess if you don't have the recipe for the bypass chip yet, that is an option. But it can take a long time just to spot one from a flyby. So if that's the case, get that bypass chip and locate a transmission tower quickly. Once we reach the crashed ship, you're going to want to make sure it's actually a better deal. And every once in a while, you may find one that goes backwards in the amount of inventory slots. And you also want to make sure that it has better upgrades to the technology installed. In this instance, I had a 35 slot ship and I came upon one with 36 slots and the technology was better. So I'm going to zip all my ship's inventory over to this one and accept it as my new ship. And after we get this ship, we need to repair it. Or at least, we need to repair 2 items. Now don't worry about the hyperdrive or the shielding or maybe even the beam or cannons because we're not keeping this one for very long. We just need to be able to take off and then repeat this process. So to repair the launch thruster, we're going to need 4 carite sheet, which is going to run us about 200 iron. Once we repair the thruster, we need some plutonium so we can take off. This next step is semi-required, and it all depends on what is actually broken. You may find yourself with 1 or 2 ships in the process that don't need to have the pulse engine repaired. It's highly unlikely, so you're going to need at least 200 Heridium, 20 Zinc, and 100 iron for 2 more carite sheets. You don't necessarily need a lot of thallium or any at this point unless you want to travel off-world. I don't recommend that though until you're finished maxing out the ship because you have to repair everything on it. Now, there will be times when you simply keep finding the same ship or the same tower that you've already been to, which means you need to jump out into space and zip over to another portion of the planet which you haven't discovered yet. But if you spend too long in space, you may attract some unwanted attention from pirates. So I wouldn't hang about out there until you repair everything, which is going to require loads more stuff. If anything, get a lot of titanium to repair your shields when you do take damage. Remember, sentinels are a good source of titanium. So here's what you need totally to do this trick for just one ship. You'll need 200 iron for the carite sheets to repair the thruster. You'll need 10 iron and 10 plutonium for the bypass chip to start off with. Have at least a stack of plutonium for the launch thruster and to charge your mining laser as you go through stuff. Then you'll need about 200 Heridium, 20 Zinc, and 100 iron or 2 carite sheets to repair the pulse engine. And lastly, you'll need a little bit of thallium if you want to use the pulse engine once it's repaired. Just keep repeating this trick and you'll max out the 48 slots in your ship in no time.